There is a moment we have all felt. You are standing in the middle of a conversation, or perhaps staring at a blinking cursor on a screen, trying to draft that one last paragraph that will finally make them understand. You are exhausted. You are burning through your own mental energy, rearranging your logic, polishing your tone, and providing every piece of evidence you have, hoping that if you just provide enough context, the other person will finally see your heart. But they don't. They look at you, and you realize they aren't listening to learn, they are listening to dismantle. What if I told you that every second you spend trying to bridge that gap is a second you are handing away your own sovereignty? What if the most powerful thing you could do in that moment wasn't to speak more clearly, but to stop speaking entirely? Welcome to the Stoic path. Today, we aren't talking about how to be a better communicator. We are talking about the strategic necessity of being misunderstood. We are raised on the myth that if we are just good enough, if we are just rational enough, everyone will eventually see our truth. We believe that clarity is a cure-all. But in the real world, this is a fallacy. When you feel the urge to explain yourself, you are usually operating under the subconscious belief that your actions require external permission. By providing a why, you are essentially asking for a verdict. You are putting your internal life on trial and inviting the other person to sit in the judge's chair. Think about the last time you tried to explain a boundary to someone who didn't want to respect it. You offered reasons. You offered alternatives. You offered apologies. And what happened? They took those reasons, picked them apart, found the flaws in your logic, and used them as ammunition. The more you explain, the more fuel you provide for their fire. This is what psychologists call the jade trap: justifying, arguing, defending, and explaining. When you engage in jade, you are signaling that your position is negotiable. You are telling the other person that if they can just argue hard enough, you might change your mind. It is a subtle, yet profound, surrender of your autonomy. There is a sociological concept known as the principle of least interest. It suggests that in any interaction, the person who is least invested in the outcome holds the most power. When you are desperate to be understood, you are the person with the most interest. You are tethered to the outcome. You are waiting for the nod of approval, the "I get it," the validation that says you aren't the villain in their story. But when you stop explaining, you shift the dynamic. You become the person who is content with their own reality, regardless of whether the other person sees it or not. This is not about being cold or indifferent, it is about being anchored. When you stop trying to convince others of your intentions, you stop being a slave to their perception. You reclaim your mental bandwidth. That energy you were wasting on crafting the perfect defense? That is now yours to invest in your own growth, your work, and your actual goals. The Stoics understood something that we often forget: the only opinion that has any power over your character is your own. Marcus Aurelius, in his private journals, often reminded himself that the opinions of others are merely clatter. He wasn't advocating for arrogance, he was advocating for internal consistency. He realized that if you are acting in alignment with your values, the judgment of others is irrelevant. If you are doing what is right, you do not need to explain it to those who are incapable of seeing it. Consider the difference between a person who spends their time defending their reputation and a person who simply lives their truth. The first is a prisoner of the public square. They are constantly looking over their shoulder, wondering if their latest move was explained well enough. The second is free. They understand that their character is a private fortress. Socrates famously suggested that the best way to live with honor is to be what we pretend to be. This is the antidote to the urge to explain. Don't tell them who you are through a paragraph of justification. Show them who you are through the consistency of your actions. If they misunderstand you, let them. Their confusion is not your burden to carry. So, how do we actually implement this? It begins with a shift in your default response to conflict or criticism. The next time you are challenged, pause. Before you launch into your defense, ask yourself, is this person actually seeking to understand, or are they seeking to control? If they are a bad faith actor, a critic, or someone who thrives on drama, your explanation is a mistake. Instead, use the power of the neutral response. When someone critiques your choice, instead of defending it, try, I understand that is your perspective. When someone pushes against a boundary, instead of justifying it, try, that doesn't work for me. When someone misinterprets your motives, instead of sending the long email or the heated text, try silence. This is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of extreme confidence. It says, I know who I am, and I do not need you to validate my reality for it to be true. Now, we must be honest about the risks. This strategy is not for your spouse, your children, or your closest confidants, at least not in the same way. In intimate relationships, silence can be a form of stonewalling. If you use this approach to avoid vulnerability with the people who truly love you, you aren't being a stoic, you are being avoidant. But for the rest of the world? For the professional environment, the toxic acquaintance, the stranger on the internet, or the person who is committed to misunderstanding you, it is your greatest defense. You will find that when you stop explaining, the people who were using your words against you will grow frustrated. They want a debate. They want a reaction. When you refuse to give it to them, they will eventually move on to someone else who is willing to play the game. And in that space, that quiet, calm space, you will find a new kind of freedom. You will realize that you have been carrying the weight of other people's opinions for years, and you didn't need to carry it at all. The end goal is not to be a loner. The end goal is to be a person who is so secure in their own values that the opinions of others feel like background noise. When you stop explaining, you stop giving away your power. You start living for yourself rather than for the audience in your head. You realize that the truth does not need a PR team. It just needs to be lived. There is a profound peace in being misunderstood by the wrong people. It is a filter. It separates those who are meant to be in your life from those who are merely spectators. I want you to leave this video with a challenge. Think of one situation in your life right now where you are over-explaining. Maybe it's a coworker who doubts your methods, or a family member who doesn't understand your life choices. This week, for that one situation, try the experiment of silence. Don't justify. Don't argue. Don't defend. Just act according to your own values and let the chips fall where they may. Observe what happens to your internal state. Notice the shift in your energy when you stop trying to control how you are perceived. You are not on this earth to be a perfectly understood character in everyone else's story. You are here to be the author of your own. Stop explaining. Start living. Thank you for walking this path with me. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing. We will be here, navigating the complexities of a modern life with the ancient, enduring wisdom of the Stoics. Until next time, remain the master of your own perspective.